Coming at you live from the Coppel Chevrolet GMC studios. This is Old School, sponsored by the Mercado by Certified Piedmontese. Broadcasting veteran Derek Pearson.
When you find something that moves that makes them smile, celebrate it. That's your task. That's your superpower.
Nebraska Football Hall of Famer Jay Foreman.
Rifles a pass. It was tipped. It's picked up by Foreman. He's at the 15, 10, 5. He'll score!
On 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Welcome into Old School. I am most certainly not DP, but I am Mike Schaefer, and Jay Foreman is alongside me. Nick is here as well to make sure everything stays on the rails. DP doing his Christmas in New York as he does every single year. Today might be the Broadway show. He's got like a real refined schedule, Jay.
Yeah,
he's got his MSG day. He's got his Times Square day.
Yeah,
he's got all that locked in.
Yeah, he's a sophisticated brother, man. You know, figured that we'd go there and we just wing it. You know, start asking the locals what to do and probably get nothing accomplished. He's definitely getting a lot accomplished in the city that never sleeps, right? That's what they call it, New York.
Yeah. That is absolutely right. Do you like New York City? I'm sure you've been there enough.
I've been there. When I played with the Giants, you know,
right.
I was there, and I guess when you go you hang out with the right people, it's a lot of fun. I mean, when I got there, for whatever reason, Michael Strahan kind of took me around for a couple weeks. So I got that kind of tag along with him. So that was, you know, that kind of set the bar way too high for myself. But yeah, I liked it. It was definitely interesting. The people are interesting. I know I had a friend that flew in for one of the games, and he was flying in from Minneapolis. And so, you know, I had to go to JFK. So you kind of got to drive from New Jersey through the city. It was crazy because I think his flight landed, say, just like 10:30. So he probably didn't, you know, get through all that stuff till like 11. So driving there wasn't a lot of people out. But just driving back, it was like that's when the city finally like woke up.
Mm.
Yeah. When they say like you don't go out to like midnight, like for real, don't step out of your apartment or whatever till midnight. But I liked it. I like the fans. They're definitely intense. You know, they're probably you know, and they say the Giants fans are a little bit more, you know, wine and cheese, a little uppity versus the Jets. But I mean, that's what they say. But the Jets, you know, fans were, you know, a little different when I was playing against them in Buffalo. But I enjoyed New York. I liked it. It wasn't probably not a place that I'd want to like reside, but
right.
Definitely liked it and enjoy I liked being around a melting pot and just people watching and learning different stuff.
Well, and then especially compared to like your time at Buffalo, where I'm guessing
it is different,
more of a smaller vibe,
right?
Versus,
it's just like Lincoln.
Yeah,
I mean, that's really what helped. I mean, I always tell people what really helped me. Of course, look, I would tell you like, I never knew if I was going to get drafted, but it was, you know, when you're dreaming and kind of have these perfect scenarios, you know, really when I went to the combine, the two teams that thought I was too good to kind of, you know, go to were Green Bay and Buffalo, because I felt like, you know, two small towns or cities or whatever, and the weather, you know, being here in Lincoln, you know, everything, you know, you think you're bigger and better. You got this old big head going on. And so I go to the combine. Those are the two teams I don't interview with. Right. So I'm like, all right, I'm cool. So then I'm cool with anywhere. I'm thinking like, oh, I want to go to Atlanta, you know, New York or something like that. End up going to Buffalo. And, you know, it is definitely different than New York City. But there's a lot of people that live there after living in the city. So you get a little bit of it. But like I was saying before, one of the best things that ever happened to me was to go to Buffalo. One, it was at that time they were a winning organization, run really, really well. Ralph Wilson and John Butler. He was a GM. He had to, you know, he liked Nebraska players, you know, and the one thing Buffalo did at that time, when they drafted you or if they brought in, you know, other guys as like, I guess, rookie free agents or whatever, you know, they didn't do a lot of roster turnover. So if you were on practice squad and say like you were a lineman and a lineman got hurt, then they would bring you
bumped up.
Right. And
you're in the system,
you
move up.
And you played there all preseason. So it was like almost like an honor to be on their practice squad versus a lot of other teams. Like every week it's new guys coming in. It's kind of stupid because really all they're doing is bringing you in to try you out for a couple weeks. And one thing I remember being in one of your first like training camp, you know, team meetings, and and you're sitting there and you're trying to figure out the roster, right? Because my agent was, really good. He said, look, dude, when you go to the training camp, 90% of the roster is already done. I'm like, really? Because you're thinking like,
Yeah, you can flash, you can impress.
Right.
Yeah.
and you're thinking about, do I play defense good?
Mm-hmm.
No. He's like, you better kick tail on special teams and be able to play defense. Obviously, he's like, you want to have as much good tape as possible. Wade Phillips got up there and he said kind of the same thing without saying it. He's like, look, I'm gonna treat you as a man, and you got to be on time and show up, work hard. Of course, you got Bruce Smith and Thurman Thomas. They're not trying out for spots, but he said for you rookies and lower round draft choices, you guys are gonna get a ton of tape. So if you don't make it here, the chances of you getting picked up and then having a successful rookie year, then he was like, after that, it's up to you. And he's like, you know what? If you go somewhere else, you're doing well, we've always brought guys back. So he kind of laid out realistically how it could go in the NFL. And that's one, probably because his dad's been through it. One, that's why a lot of players, you never find a player that played for Wade that doesn't love him and respect him because he, treated you as such. Now, granted, having Bruce Smith, Ted Washington, Reuben Brown, Thurman Thomas, Andre Reed, and those guys to police the locker room, you could do that, right? Yeah. And so even if I'm sure we had our fair share of knuckleheads, but those guys kept everybody in line. And if you didn't get in line, they could really go up to Ralph and like, this dude's going to mess up the team. He's got to go. So, yeah, I mean, we got a few Nebraska players, hoping to get drafted. I'm sure they're thinking like places they want to go. The best advice that I ever got, you don't worry about how many teams like you. You just want to worry about the one team that likes you enough to pick you.
Yeah, and then go make it work when you're there.
Yeah, because that's just the first part. That's the first part, man. And that's what that's what people don't understand. Yeah, it's great. I mean, look, you're a less than a 1%er, I guess, right, to get drafted. I don't even know what the percent is, right? You're even less to make it. And it's a little bit easier to make it in the NFL now. It's like if you can walk and chew gum, you can play a lot longer than you should. You actually had to be, without being this old guy, you had to actually had to be good when I played. Now you can kind of just be, you know what I mean? I mean, Josh Johnson's playing.
Do you think it's more based on athleticism than technique?
Yeah, it is. One of the things I've seen the shift in the NFL is the depth of athlete is definitely deeper. But the top end guys, there's nobody that's coming in the NFL now that can match up with Javon Curse that I saw at the combine. 6'5", 265, run a 4.3. There's no and jump. You know what I mean? But that you'll have. So say like in all practice, say in my draft alone, say they had 4, right? Wow, guys. Now they might have 10.
Mm-hmm.
But after the 4 here, you might have some closer guys that are better football players. The Mike Petersons.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Those guys. Barry Gardner's and those, like Keith Newman, he went 4th round, I went 5th. I played 9 and Keith played 9. Generally that doesn't happen. Now you can kind of
last a long
right
time.
because now the guys are especially with COVID, you see a lot more in the NBA where they pick you up for 2 or 3 games, you're vested, versus like when I played, you had to be on the active roster for 6 games to get vested. Now it's 3, and then you can kind of like combine practice squad. You saw, was it Cade McNown or Josh McNown got picked up on the practice squad? Wasn't even there. He was on the practice squad, but still coaching in Texas a couple years ago when COVID first hit. I think for Philly, right? So
yeah, this sounds right.
Yeah, so like you could be a 10-year veteran and be on practice squad. After your second year, when I played, you couldn't
go back. You
couldn't be on the practice squad.
Right.
And even if you were on the practice squad for your first 2 years, and say like Minnesota wanted to keep you on the third, then you're just like done.
Yeah.
So it's a lot, it's a little bit, and the rules are lax for its betterment for the whole of the players, but the guys that really kind of went through the grind doesn't, it's so for these guys that are trying, it's going to get up there because there's no more, the coaches up there. You're not going to have, you're going to be somewhat cool with the coaches, but you ain't going to be cool like in college. Like coaches ain't having you over for steaks. It's like, my job is to make sure that you do what you need to do on film, or I'm going to find somebody that will.
Yeah. The relationship generally ends in the building.
Generally, one of my two best friends are, is Reggie Herring, who coaches in Denver, and Danny Smith, who's the long time. Well, he's at Pittsburgh now. He's been in forever. Danny was in my wedding, and Reggie was as well. Now, my relationship with both of them is because they pushed me to places I never thought I could go, and so we kind of like, and our relationship grew after I got done. Like when I was kind of like, towards the end, you know what I mean? We always kept in contact. So when we played, I never really wanted to cross that. And
Right.
the only people that really have truly relationships with coaches is the quarterbacks, especially if they're good.
Everything's
Like,
different with the quarterbacks.
right?
Everything.
Like Tony Dungy probably didn't hang out with. Was it Robert Morris? That was the linebacker from BYU. That was so. I mean, but I can guarantee you.
I think we were going to hear about Robert Morris.
Yeah, remember him?
Yeah,
only reason I liked him from BYU is because during his draft tape, BYU was playing somebody. I remember it was a night game, and he did the moonwalk after he had a couple tackles.
It was a big deal when Robert Morris was a draft prospect because I think he was 25, 26.
Yeah, but he ran good and he was big.
And so then it was like, oh, do you want to take him because you're only going to have a finite amount of years? And then it's like, oh, yeah, you take him because he's good. That's what you take.
He was really good in college and kind of so-so in the league, but I'm sure Edgerrin James, Peyton Manning, Marvin Harrison, Reggie Wayne, and if I'm missing anybody else, probably can text Tony Dungy and get a call back. I bet you Morris probably gets.
Was Dwight Freeney part of that, or was that?
Yeah,
after?
he was just there
at the edge of it.
Yeah, him and Mathis. It was Freeney before Mathis. So you got to think Dwight Freeney was just a automatic like pass rusher for a while. Then he got better at the run.
Yep.
But when you're up by like 14 points.
Bob Sanders, is he part of that as well?
I never played. I wasn't ever against him, but I remember him. I mean, obviously, yeah.
That guy was good
for those 2 years.
Yeah.
It just sucks that he had knee problems. I mean, because he was sniping people.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
He
had literally won the Super Bowl for him because remember that defense was so bad. It was like how they have, and then Bob Sanders came back, and then they went on that run during the playoffs where they.
He had the shoestring tackle that saved like a late touchdown. I want to say against the Ravens, maybe.
Yep.
No, I just remember Bob Sanders is one of those safeties that doesn't get enough credit for what he was. But I loved him.
For 2 years, 2 or 3 years, and the injury bug killed him.
Yeah, So let's transition this to some of the action we saw yesterday, and your Buffalo Bills kind of took it to the Patriots.
A little bit. Yeah,
and it had me thinking. What would you kind of rationalize why we're so quick? Because it happened earlier this year. The Cowboys went through a stretch. And it was like, oh, no, what's going on with this team? They're not kind of what we thought they were.
Right.
The Chiefs were buried. There was questions about whether they were
even
whether they were going to win the AFC West or even make the playoffs. Right. Are they the third or fourth best team in this loaded division? And it's like, it's not even close.
Right.
I don't even know who you would say the second best team is in the AFC West right now because I never know what to do with the Chargers.
Chargers are going to charge.
I think the Raiders are talent-wise the second best team, but they don't. Week to week, you never know what you're going to get there either. And the Chiefs are miles ahead of it, but it's just like we forget every year the season's really long.
It is.
And a team will go through a 3-week stretch where they don't look particularly good, and we can't wait to bury them.
Right.
And then here we are right now, and you've got the Bills, the Cowboys, the Chiefs all playing their best football when it matters.
Yeah, and it is an extremely long season. That was one of my first reality checks of the league. Right, because you go through preseason, which is you play at that time you played 4 games, so you practice for 2.5 weeks, then you start playing games, and then you practice for another week, then you play 16 games, 17 weeks, and so that's 25 weeks, and that's almost twice college, and because they go like 6 days of like fall camp here, and
right,
and this is you know what I mean, so. It's a long season and guys get worn out. I wouldn't say they get bored, but you kind of get in a lull a little bit.
It's got to be hard to have the same mentality week in and week out.
It is. And because it's just natural because you could have injuries hit a certain position group. You could have a guy that's just not playing well. If your quarterback's not playing well, this is the thing in the league. If your quarterback is not playing the position of quarterback well, you will not win. It's like impossible to win. And just coming from here, you just think like, you always talk like, all right, you're just a part of you're part of the team, whether you're a bigger part or not, but you're part of the team.
Right.
And you're like, we were playing if, say they were focusing on Tommy or Scott, We know we had a Mon in the line that could kind of overcome in the league. No, if you don't have a quarterback that can play the position, he doesn't necessarily have to be Tom Brady, but he can't be any worse than Trent Dilfer not losing the game.
Right.
Right. And that's an extreme case. So you
What?
need somebody in between like a Brad Johnson, right? Guy that can play the position. And so if you have a quarterback that's not playing well, or you have injuries at running back, or just, offensive coordinators just having an off couple weeks, or here's also what happens. When you play in your division, right? So like when we would play the Jets, we would play the Colts at that time, in New England, all bets are off. All, whatever the spread is off, because we knew each other. You knew the players. You played, at that time, say like when I'm in my third or fourth year in Buffalo, I'd played against those guys 8 times. So I knew Edgerrin James' strengths and weaknesses. I kind of knew you know what I mean? So the game's automatically going to be tighter versus like, we came down and played Kansas City once, seeing all that stuff is a lot newer. So it kind of like sparks your interest. And so that's where you can kind of, get, lulled into some bad play. And weather's a factor, because some guys, some position groups, some offenses, some coaches even, and players play well in different climates as well. And that's just the way it is. And yeah, you think like, in Buffalo, you guys, like you just sleep outside and we practice there all day. You're human. Yeah, you drive to work every day and it's crappy outside, but that's not
like you're spending 14 hours a day.
And it's not something that you like to do.
You're not Rocky just training in the
right.
conditions.
We're not in, we're not, that's not what you like to do. And some coaches don't practice outside and just kind of throw it at, let you just deal with it on the day of the game. So look, they went through a little bit of a lull. You saw some chinks in Buffalo's armor when they lost to Jacksonville. Probably didn't take them lightly. So that you question their maturity level, because they were playing well at that time. Then they got back on track, and then the pressure of playing New England when New England was hot at home, and then they probably
a weird weather game.
Yeah, in a weird weather game, lost focus. And if you want to compare it to college, it's almost like the first time. Remember when Nebraska had game day and we were playing Ohio State? Everything from Nebraska's standpoint was enjoying
the experience,
game day experience, and then you had to play the game, and then you just were done.
Yep.
Now, granted, that was a great Ohio State team, but they definitely weren't 40-some points.
They threw one punch and it was over.
Right. With Buffalo. So they learned from it, and went up there and played a little bit better than they did before, and Josh Allen got a chance to do his thing. And when you have a quarterback that can make plays, or he can make plays with his feet and run, and has the mindset to do it, and to beat the Patriots, you have to beat them.
Do you think the Bills sort of style, where it's we'll run when we have to, but it's really going to be on the arm of our quarterback, and we think that Stephon Diggs can get open 8 to 10 times a game, and 2 of them are going to be backbreakers? Can you do that enough in the playoffs? It just feels such
it's a
tough thread.
It's a very thin line between the first Patriot game and that one,
or even the Jacksonville game.
Jacksonville, you're right. You could look really, really good when it's on, right? That team looked like, and then it looks really, really bad because the defense is good. It's not great, even though Buffalo was the better team. I thought from start to finish, I would have liked. They still, to me, do not play the run effectively enough. They still don't.
You think about some of these teams you could get the Titans if Henry's back.
The
Patriots again,
right?
Even the Bengals with Joe Mixon.
It's not even about who it is. Like every team can run the ball. Right. It was just like
the mentality of them
doing
the
mentality and the gap assignments and the lack of physicality and being out of position against basic run plays. These are like the Patriots are running like basic plays, ISO.
But that's their MO. It's not like they'll have a couple trick plays, and we all talk about those, but they don't run a particularly. They
never have ran an advanced. Yeah. It was more advanced when they had Edelman.
But it's very straightforward.
Yeah,
it's we're gonna run these things, and we're gonna get a tight end open by doing this, and we're gonna get a wide receiver underneath, and you can't cover everything, and our quarterback's gonna figure that out, or we're just going to come after you with the running game.
Right. And we're not going to make mistakes. Yeah. They're going to have guys that are going to catch the ball. The Patriots are one team that have always been okay with a 5-yard hitch. and then we'll get another 5. Okay, we got a first down. Sooner or later, they know you're going to either bust a coverage, miss a tackle. They're going to be then they're going to get you on your heels. And then here comes our Hall of Fame at that time, Gronk, and then Brady.
Is that what made them frustrating, or makes them frustrating from a defensive perspective? Because you know what they are, they know what they are, and it almost lulls you into a sense of security?
No, what's frustrating about them is that you have to. I mean, not frustrating. The great thing about them is that you have to beat them. The hard thing about them, and the frustrating, I guess, is they don't make the mistakes that everybody else makes. You have to beat them. They're physical as hell every year. I mean, physical as hell every year. They're disciplined. They're not going to make a game plan mistake. So somehow, some way, the same amount of hours that their coaching staff and their regime is having is used 10 times better than 90% of the league. And you're not going to, and they do a good job of developing and scouting as well. So you're not going to be able to go out there and say like, okay, we're going to out athlete them. They're going to take that away. And it's almost like they play mind games with the offensive defensive coordinator, because they know that you have to beat them a certain way. And these coordinators have so much ego, they won't do it. The great thing that Josh Allen did yesterday is he recognized, and maybe the offensive coordinator as well, make an adjustment that once they knew the game wasn't so out of control from the Patriots able just to walk the ball down the field, the Patriots were playing deep shell zone against them. Actually, they were playing like how teams have played Kansas City.
Right.
And then all they were doing is dumping it off, and then the Patriots missed a tackle. Then Josh Allen would make a play. Diggs would get one. McKenzie would get one. Knox would get one. So now the offense looks actually more on time and schedule. I would have liked to seen, because I thought that Buffalo ran the ball pretty effectively. Not like to the tune that I'd like to see them. Good enough to, you know what, Patriots need to start second half.
You can't sit too high forever.
They got away from it, but Josh Allen got hot, so you can't. I mean,
right?
He's a MVP caliber player.
Hey, we have we got a call here on Old School. We got Jason on the line. Jason, what's going on?
Hey guys, it's always good to see or listen to you guys. Jay, I'm always fascinated by your career. Your dad is a Hall of Famer in my book, whether he's in there or not. He should be. You had a special career in college and then played solid NFL football for 7 years. Thank you very much. What was it like, just hearing you talk about Buffalo and the Giants and stuff? What were like a few of the guys that you just were like, wow, that next level guy? And I mean, I know you were in the league at the same time when Brady was there, but he wasn't, elite Brady like we know him today. During your years in the NFL, he was rising and he was ascending and all that. And I know there's 100 guys you could mention, but who are 3 or 4 or 5 guys that you thought of, Jay, as just amazing, that next level athlete that you're like, wow, we have some ballers in Nebraska, or, we have ballers on this team, but this guy or that guy is just like that extra special talent. I'll listen off the air. Thanks, guys.
I mean, everybody was good. I appreciate the accolades on the career myself, but well, I mean, look, Randy Moss rolled out there. I never forget we played at Minnesota, so I was excited to play at home, and we ran this cover 2 Randy Moss. So whenever you're playing cover 2 to Randy Moss, so say like the back safety is usually for regular receivers at 10, 12. They were like, you're at 16. And I'll never forget going into halftime. I was sitting right there. We called it cover 2 Moss, right? Because I mean, literally, Ted Cottrell said, "Listen here, we can't give up we can't give up more than 2 explosive runs to Robert Smith in the run game. But we have to stop Randy Moss because I mean, obviously, he was shredding the league for his whole career. So it was right before half, and he's like, we can't let Dante Culpepper escape to his right, right." Well, here comes, I think, Gabe Northern. He went inside what he wasn't supposed to. Culpepper gets it and runs all the way right, throws it literally across the field. It looked like a punt. Randy Moss caught it probably with 4 inches left. Cover 2 Randy Moss. And it was perfect coverage. It's like they had done that play, and it was like that. They scored. Viking horn went off. We went into halftime.
Just defeated.
Well, yeah. I mean, just because we had the perfect play, perfect coverage.
Everyone knew what they were supposed
and we
to
had
do.
the most unstoppable force in the league. That's pretty much like Lawrence Taylor turned the league upside down. So he's one. I remember playing, or I didn't play this game. We played down in Miami against the Dolphins and Dan Marino. And I met Dan Marino when I was young, and I always was a fan of his. And this was like, he had these, Nike made these high tops that literally came up through his calf. I think it might have been right after he blew his Achilles or something. And Buffalo had never beat Miami on Monday night or something down there, or a night game. And we ended up winning. But I remember the thing is Dan Marino's washed up. He's not very good. Well, he proceeded to go 21 or 22 in the first half for 300 yards. I mean, he was just throwing laser beams.
Yeah.
You know, and he couldn't run, but if you're talking about pocket presence and moving around and just kind of, and he just flicked his wrist, whether it was short, long pass.
Just dropping it.
Yeah. So he was one. And then the other one that was Brett Favre. It was like after his whole painkiller deal, and we were playing him in Buffalo, and it was hot as heck, and they were trying to say his arm was dead. I remember they were like coming out of Green Bay. His arm isn't as good as it was. He threw a pass literally. I think I reacted like 4 seconds after. You know what I mean? Literally buzzed right through my head, right next to it. Like
hardest guy that you've seen throw.
Oh,
not even close.
Not even close. Buzzed the tower on me, right? And he had a good game. We ended up winning, but you know, it's just like, it's funny when you see those guys, you know, they're next level. But I was blessed enough to be, you know, my locker was in between, or there was 5 lockers. Mine was directly in the middle. Bruce Smith was 2 lockers down. He had an extra locker. So to the left of me was another blank locker, and then Thurman Thomas. So I was able to kind of
soak it up.
Well, they were talking.
Yeah.
And I was just listening. But, you know, I mean, Bruce Smith, some of the things that you're talking about a guy that could turn it on like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you know, I know people were talking about Jonathan Allen and Payne fighting last night. Bruce Smith, I think everybody wanted to fight Bruce because he would always talk like sometimes like he wasn't part of the team. And we had this linebacker named John Holisek, and he's a coach he's from South Side of Chicago. So he played high school ball with Rodney Harrison. Those two are best buds. And John is tough. Like, it's all he like literally wanted to do was fight. I mean, that's all it seemed. So we were playing Tennessee right before the Music City Miracle, and Bruce had like 2 sacks in the first half or something like that. And everybody was on edge because Ralph Wilson made Wade play Rob Johnson. You know, Flutie won 10 games. So everybody we were losing. I think we were down 7-10 nothing or something like that. Bruce came in here and he was talking to the offense. And he was like, you know, I told y'all this, and this. Well, John thought he had said about the defense or just, John folded him up in that locker. I mean, I remember I was getting my like ankle retape. All you heard, boom, 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 boom. And Sam Gash, who doesn't say anything, right? And he played. The funny thing, Sam Gash played fullback with a dip in his mouth. He came over and he broke it up. And then he comes into the training room, and we call him Big Cuz, right? Because that's all he'd be like, "What's up, Cuz?" You know, with a dip in his mouth. He's like, "Man," he's like, "Your boy Holicek got after Bruce." Bruce was folded up in there. Bruce went and composed himself. We actually, you know, ended up having a chance to win, but obviously we didn't. But yeah, so fights happen all the time. So for you people, look, unlike Chris Collinsworth thought last night, all the time. But Chris Collinsworth is the teammate that would probably go to HR if he got in the fight. He'd be up there.
I believe you just called Chris Collinsworth Karen right there. Basically.
Oh, he's Karen Collinsworth. Yeah, for sure. He definitely is the guy that's telling on you if you're late to a meeting. And there's always one guy that will, I guess, snitch on the guy that's late to meetings. Always. And everybody hates him, but he has more security on the team than guys that actually go out there and play. And you always want, and he's always the guy you wonder, like, how'd you make this team?
Yeah, why are you hanging around?
Yeah, how are you outside linebacker in a 3-4 and you have 4 sacks and they keep redoing your contract?
Team snitch. All right, we're gonna take a break. We're gonna come back. Brian Christopherson from Husker 24/7 is gonna join us for a few minutes. We'll dive into some of the latest happenings. Nebraska will need a new defensive line coach. They still got to play in the portal for a quarterback and more. We'll see what BC has been hearing, how his Christmas went, and more. You're listening to Old School. Mike Schaefer sitting in for DP. Jay here as always. We'll be back here in a little bit.
You're listening to Old School with DP and J. Download the mobile app and listen wherever you are on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
At first, I was really nervous and intimidated to buy a ring. I wasn't sure what I was getting into.
My experience at Starter Heyman was very easy. I felt like I walked out of Starter Heyman with the ring that was going to make her go wow and say yes.
I love my ring. It is so beautiful.
I absolutely love my ring. I get compliments on it all the time. I always tell them Starter Heyman.
Yeah, we would definitely recommend Starter Heyman.
Yeah, it was great.
We're definitely coming back.
Sure. Sauter Heyman Jewelers, Lincoln and Grand Island. SauterHeyman.com.
Hey, buying a used vehicle sucks, and the biggest problem is who can you trust? Hey, this is Carl from Price Right Auto out here at West O Street in Lincoln. Here's what customers have told us they want from us. They want transparent pricing with no games. We have all of our pricing on our website, plus a Carfax report. We don't want to buy a lemon. We include a 3-month warranty on all of our vehicles. We don't want to play games. Just make it simple. You saw that with non-commissioned salespeople. Can you trust us? Just check out our Google reviews. Again, this is Carl from Price Right Auto in West O. Check us out at PriceRightAuto.com.
The Mercado by Certified Piedmontese Beef is Lincoln's newest full-service butcher shop, offering premium fresh-cut steaks and house-made sausages daily from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. They exclusively carry certified Piedmontese beef raised right here in Nebraska. When shopping at the Mercado, you're not only supporting local, but also enjoying the official beef of Nebraska Athletics. With prime-grade tenderness and unparalleled nutritionals, your backyard barbecue is about to get a serious upgrade. Stop into the Mercado today, located off 84th and Havelock in Lincoln.
93.7 The Ticket. Fox KFXL weather. Sponsored by Security First Bank. A relationship you can count on.
Your KFXL Fox Nebraska weather. A cooler day for Monday with a high of 44 with mostly sunny skies and breezy northwest winds. Lighter winds expected into Monday night with a low around 26 along with partly cloudy skies. Breezy conditions are back for Tuesday with a high of 40 along with passing clouds. I'm meteorologist Regina Bird for 93.7 The Ticket and ticketfm.com.
They say one great thing leads to another, and that's especially true when you visit a Great Clips salon. When you sit down for a haircut with the skilled and friendly stylist at one of our thousands of convenient Great Clips locations, they'll not only make your hair look great, they'll make you feel great too. And that's something you can't help but share with the world. Download our online check-in app today and opt in to get a Ready Next text when you're up next. Great Clips. It's going to be great.
Working at Continental in Lincoln isn't a job, it's a career. And right now, they're hiring for production operators at $21.72 an hour and other select jobs starting at $23.42 an hour, with wages growing up to $27.55 an hour. Continental also has salary jobs available with great benefits, plus medical and prescription costs at very low premiums. Dental, vision, and life insurance are offered at no premium cost to the associates. To learn more or apply, go to continentaljob.com with keyword Lincoln. Come work at Continental today.
Back to Old School with DP and J. Presented by the Mercado by Certified Piedmontese on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Welcome back to Old School. I am Mike Schaefer. I'm filling in for DP today. Jay is here. Nick is here. And on the line, joining us from Husker 24/7, Brian Christopherson. Brian, first and foremost, Christmas go well for you.
Yeah. I got everything done by the 22nd, so I was way ahead of schedule this year, so it worked out.
Is that the earliest you finish your Christmas shopping?
Earliest in probably about 10 years, yeah. I don't know what that says, but that counts for something, I guess. I don't know. Bruns was out there on Christmas Eve, our coworker, so I was doing better than him.
Yeah, wow, that's incredible. I didn't have to do that much shopping this year, but I got it done relatively early. Thanks for holding down the fort, by the way, at Husker 24/7. It's like a ghost town. Bruns is gone. I'm basically unavailable. You're keeping us afloat there. I appreciate that.
No problem. Not a lot's going on right now. But that'll change, I'm sure.
Well, leading into Christmas, we had a few different things happen. What kind of impact do you think it is? And I know this is a little bit recycled because it was last week, but I am curious kind of your thoughts on it now. You've had a little bit more time to think about it. Tony Tuioti moves on to Oregon. What kind of impact do you think that will have with Nebraska's defensive scheme and with those guys left in that defensive line room? Because at least from my vantage point, he seemed to be a pretty popular players coach.
No, I think you're right about that. I don't think it's going to shake up the scheme dramatically. I know Tony Tuioti brought a lot of good ideas with him when he first came here, and stuff that was incorporated, into what they were doing. But when you kind of think about what might happen now, I mean, you think about possibly somebody like, does Mike Dawson move up and, coach the D line and the one set of outside backers. And if he does that, you're not really changing a lot of voices in the room. So if that's what happens, and I think it's possible, I don't know that it's going to have a major impact as far as when we're talking about like the language of the defense or like any of that stuff. But Tony Tuioti is a good coach. I think the thing you'd credit him with the most while he was at Nebraska was I think there were some guys who developed each year and got better. Casey Rogers was a guy a couple of years ago, kind of popped up, and I think Ty Robinson has come along. But there's still another step for those guys, and whoever is the next coach of them, he's gonna now have to, I think, turn them from being good players to, can you get some all conference type guys? Can you have Ty Robinson develop into a first or second team all conference type of player? Because I think that's within guys like that. So that's what you want to see now.
You spoke a language to move to the, I guess, offensive side of the ball. How important is it to get one, I guess, or maybe I don't know how many, quarterbacks out of the portal, before, school starts, considering that I'm assuming even with the new offensive coordinator, the language is going to be a little bit different, but then also you want to be in there first, the first impression of the new coach.
Yeah. I mean, I would think that's a monster thing at that position. And it was interesting when Mark Whipple was talking to the media last week, he talked about that sort of special relationship that an OC or a play caller has with his QB. It's sort of one of those relationships, not that the other guys on the roster aren't important to you, but for it to really take off, it's one of those relationships where, you're going to that guy that you've coached his wedding, and Mark Whipple even, he said that, like Ben Roethlisberger, I went to his wedding. He will be at my funeral, and Kenny Pickett, I'll be at his wedding. So I think that's the type of bond you're talking about building. And obviously the sooner you can get that going, the better. I've said all along, I think Mark Whipple's track record with quarterbacks would seem to be something that guys who are floating around in the portal look at and say, well, that would be interesting to me, especially the success he just had with Pickett. But yeah, these are, I think, a critical next 2 to 3 weeks as they finalize who that is. And it's got to be somebody who has, the right traits and knows that they're going to have to come in and fight for it. Cause, those guys who are already here, I know some people are kind of moving on, like, who's the portal QB? He's the guy, right? Logan Smothers, Heinrich Harburg, they're not just going to lie down. So you hope that competition runs hot. I mean, you want that heat lamp on, and you want that guy to get here soon, and everybody to get to know this is who's in the room. Let's go after it.
Brian, I know one of the things that we do kind of around this time is you take stock of who's on the roster, who's expected to be there this spring. Who are some of the guys that you kind of have marked down on the roster sheet as players you think have an opportunity with a role in front of them or to take a step from maybe contributor to starter, something along those lines that you're kind of intrigued by how they approach this winter and the spring?
I don't know if it's a sneaky name, but Jamari Butler is a guy I'm really interested in, when spring ball starts, because he was a very raw prospect when he first arrived to Nebraska. I mean, remind me if I don't think I'm wrong on this, Schaefer. I think he'd only played like 1 year of high school.
Yeah, he was a basketball convert to football, basically.
Yeah. So, I mean, you're talking about a guy like that where the key to me with him was, can he have patience to stay in the program for a couple of years in this day and age where people move around so fast? And he's still here and has seemed, at least from the signs he's given off, publicly and social media and stuff like that, to be pretty eager about being a big part of it. And I know coaches have kind of talked him up. So that's a guy I'm interested in, like him and Gunnarsson, as guys, can they take that step now to being fringe type players who we talk about? Maybe they're going to be a part of it too. They're on the 2 deep. They're making plays for you. And then I think the secondary is really interesting because it's just going to be so wide open. And I think, Quinton Newsome might be the guy who, of everybody, who I'd say he has probably the best grip on a job, but nobody's got anything on lock. And I think even Miles Farmer, he had some inconsistencies, I think, the last few games when he was in that role. He's going to have to fight for it. And I think some of these new additions, like I wrote about it yesterday, like Deshaun Singleton, he's a JUCO recruit. They didn't bring him in here to, sit. His job is to push that and make the 2 deep. And Jaden Gold is a big time recruit who's going to enroll early. And that's a guy you hope, Tommy Hill, that secondary room, I think got real interesting the last week of signing day in a hurry.
Again, to flip into the offensive side, 2 questions is who in the, or name a couple in the offensive line room that you think is going to be able to step up from obviously on the roster, and then also the running back room, because, as much as we talk about a quarterback, et cetera, if you don't have guys that can move people up on the line, then obviously somebody that can tote the mail, it's kind of, you're dead in the water.
Yeah, I think Nuri's really interesting, Newelly, when you talk about linemen, just because of his versatility. And I thought for a guy who got thrown in to the mix sort of in midstream of the season, I thought he did really well and was one of the better guys up front for an inconsistent group. Now, I know Frost has even talked about him as maybe a center option, and that's interesting. Now with Juergens gone, does somebody like him, does he get a crack at it there? So just because of the way you can move him around and his solid 2021, I think he's going to be a key guy. I think Latovsky and Prohaska, I mean, you're talking about 2 recruits from the last class, and it was kind of funny because Latovsky was sort of the guy all offseason last year that you heard the most about, and then suddenly Prohaska was in there and was really good before the injury. And so, I mean, if those 2 guys from that class can step up at the same time and win jobs this year, and I think Latovsky will have a shot on the interior, that can change things a lot. I'm also pretty excited about seeing what Kevin Williams can do. The portal ad they just got, Omaha North grad, and I think he's going to get here in a couple weeks, and he's expecting to roll in there and fight for a job, like as you should. He's not coming here to sit in the back seat. So I think he could be an interesting ad too. The running backs, I think I'm a big Rahmir guy. I really am. And I know Whipple, in his early film studies, it came out that he was like, man, that he keeps showing up. I feel like had he stayed healthy last year, I think it would have been a really nice season. And I think for a guy who, we have to remember, he started last season like 5th on the depth chart in early August, and for him to stay with it and sort of become the main guy and now the person to beat there, that's a lot of credit to him. And I think he's got a good skill set. So, him and Yant and Gabe Irvin are the 3 I would guess I'd lead with. And, you hope that I want to see next year at this time, we're talking about a guy who ran for 1,000 and the second guy, was 700 or something like that. It needs to get back to that around here. When you look at the numbers, it's kind of discouraging from this last season.
All right, Brian. Hey, we appreciate your time as always. Enjoy this wonderful week between Christmas and New Year's, where it normally is pretty slow, but we'll see what the transfer portal has for us.
Yeah, there might be something, but you guys have a good New Year, and thanks for having me on.
Brian Christopherson from Husker 24/7. Again, Mike Schaefer sitting in for DP here on Old School. Jay Foreman here, Nick here as well. We're going to take a break. I'm told Nick Trivia is coming up next. I don't know what this is exactly. but I am willing to learn and hopefully excel.
Yep. Call now 402-464-5685. Nick Trivia is sponsored by Upside Bar and Lounge. Call and answer the trivia question. Win $15 to the Upside Bar and Lounge. We'll do that next.
Watch Old School live on Facebook, YouTube, or Twitch. Old School with DP and J on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
They say one great thing leads to another, and that's especially true when you visit a Great Clips salon. When you sit down for a haircut with the skilled and friendly stylist at one of our thousands of convenient Great Clips locations, they'll not only make your hair look great, they'll make you feel great too. And that's something you can't help but share with the world. Download our online check-in app today and opt in to get a ready next text when you're up next. Great Clips. It's going to be great.
Every time we make the choice to drive, we're making a choice that could have life or death consequences. Friedman Law Offices has proudly sponsored our holiday taxi service for 30 years. This year, we're proud to partner with Z-Trip to keep Lincoln's streets safer. Between 9 p.m. and 2 a.m. from December 15th to New Year's Day, you can get a free ride home if you've had too much to drink. Just call 402-474-SAFE or click Let Friedman Drive at friedmanlaw.com. Friedman Law Offices. Helping injured people. It's what we do. It's all we do.
Gray Diesel and Equipment Services is your go-to place in Lincoln for repairs and maintenance for diesel pickups to Class 8 over-the-road trucks and trailers, from bumper pole utility to full-size semi. Gray performs DOT inspections and are a service provider for fleet companies like ARI, Element Fleet, and FleetNet. They're a family-owned business in operation since 1952, and they keep a clean, friendly shop. Customer service is their top priority. Give Gray Diesel and Equipment Services a visit today with easy access just off I-80 and North 56th Street.
At first, I was really nervous and intimidated to buy a ring. I wasn't sure what I was getting into.
My experience at Starter Heyman was very easy. I felt like I walked out of Starter Heyman with the ring that was going to make her go wow and say yes.
I love my ring. It is so beautiful.
I absolutely love my ring. I get compliments on it all the time. I always tell them Starter Heyman.
Yeah, we would definitely recommend Starter Heyman.
Yeah, it was great.
We're definitely coming back.
Sutter Heyman Jewelers, Lincoln and Grand Island. SutterHeyman.com.
The Mercado by Certified Piedmontese Beef is Lincoln's newest full-service butcher shop, offering premium fresh-cut steaks and house-made sausages daily from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. They exclusively carry certified Piedmontese beef raised right here in Nebraska. When shopping at the Mercado, you're not only supporting local, but also enjoying the official beef of Nebraska Athletics. With prime-grade tenderness and unparalleled nutritionals, your backyard barbecue is about to get a serious upgrade. Stop into the Mercado today, located off 84th and Havelock in Lincoln.
Hey, buying a used vehicle sucks, and the biggest problem is who can you trust? Hey, this is Carl from Price Right Auto out here at West O Street in Lincoln. Here's what customers have told us they want from us. They want transparent pricing with no games. We have all of our pricing on our website, plus a Carfax report. We don't want to buy a lemon. We include a 3-month warranty on all of our vehicles. We don't want to play games. Just make it simple. You saw that with non-commissioned salespeople. Can you trust us? Just check out our Google reviews. Again, this is Carl from Price Right Auto in West O. Check us out at pricerightauto.com.
There's not many things worse than having plumbing issues at your home or business, but it's even worse if the problem isn't fixed correctly. Select Plumbing gets it right the first time, and they specialize in several things: general plumbing, water heaters, faucet and fixture repair, sewer and water underground repairs, backflow testing, and more. Keep your property free from leaks and other issues. Call today for a free estimate at 402-560-6197. That's Select Plumbing at 402-560-6197.
93.7 The Ticket. Fox KFXL weather. Sponsored by Security First Bank. A relationship you can count on.
Your KFXL Fox Nebraska weather. A cooler day for Monday with a high of 44 with mostly sunny skies and breezy northwest winds. Lighter winds expected into Monday night with a low around 26 along with partly cloudy skies. Breezy conditions are back for Tuesday with a high of 40 along with passing clouds. I'm meteorologist Regina Berg for 93.7 The Ticket and ticketfm.com.
Back to Old School with DP and J. Presented by the Mercado by Certified Piedmontese.
We are back here on Old School. Mike Shaver sitting in for DP. We got Jay Foreman. We got Nick. We got Nick Trivia right now, brought to you by Upside Bar and Lounge. Tell me, Nick. Explain to me Nick trivia.
All right, so basically,
Is it trivia
it's
based
just-
on your life?
No. It's just I ask a question.
All right.
They're sometimes very easy. They're sometimes pretty difficult. Today's is very easy.
Jay, are they usually pretty easy?
No, some of them are actually out of his league. but he's in the Christmas spirit, right?
Yeah. Sometimes we get a caller that steps up to the plate. Sometimes nobody wins, and that's fine. That's their loss. So today's trivia question: tonight's Monday Night Football game between the Dolphins and Saints. Ian Book is starting at quarterback for New Orleans. Where did he go to college?
Oh, that's easy.
Oh, you think so?
Yeah, because he looks like a quarterback from that school.
Yeah, like this is what I'm saying. It's super easy.
He looks like.
See, I want to make comments right now, but I can't.
No,
Yep.
almost
Who wins tonight?
Saints.
Why? Defense?
Yeah,
Defense
Dolphins,
travels.
The Dolphins have just been playing a bunch of scrubs.
Defense travels.
Yeah. And Alvin Kamara is back. He's going to get it like 85 touches.
Because this guy is playing quarterback.
You might have 85 touches for 45 yards.
Right. Well, Ian Book can actually throw the ball versus Taysom Hill.
Yeah.
So at least he can be able to do a little something.
The Taysom Hill thing has to be over at this point, right?
But they just re-upped his contract.
Well,
For
they-
40
they
mil.
He must have like naked pictures of Sean Payton or something.
Maybe he's the guy that always tells when everyone's not in the meeting.
Oh, he definitely is. He definitely is. He's definitely the turncoat in the locker room.
Are people really not calling in for Nick trivia?
No,
right now?
nobody call. No, that's just how it is sometimes. People don't call in,
This
and
feels-
that's all of
People are
them.
still drunk off of eggnog.
No, that's fine. I think it's a pretty easy answer. If nobody calls in the next 30 seconds, we're gonna have to take a break. Number one, number two, we'll just say the
That's
answer.
disappointing.
Yeah.
I would think people would know this if you watched the college football playoff.
Look, somebody calling in. There he is.
Yeah, see, 3 people called
Look,
in right
look,
there.
Connor.
You just
this
have
guy
to
has
offend
fun.
him a little
Oh,
bit.
absolutely.
Hey, Connor picked up the phone and said, "What up? Who this?"
Brandon, what's up, man? What school did Ian Book go to college?
Well, they ain't from Notre Dame.
That easy.
Well done.
Nice job,
He
Brandon.
looks like a Notre Dame quarterback. He
You
looks
know-
just like Brady Quinn.
Super easy.
You know, the first Notre Dame quarterback that came to mind for me was Carlisle Holiday.
Oh,
I don't know
yeah.
why.
Yeah,
It was.
yeah.
But you remember him
Yeah,
well.
yeah, he was pretty good at
He was
times.
pretty good.
Yeah, Jimmy Clausen.
Yeah. Hey, he was not.
Oh,
He was
remember
not.
he actually was the pioneer of like signing day
Oh,
and
yeah.
the whole hoopla around the quarterback.
You remember the fur coat,
Yeah.
the limo,
Yeah.
and the
And then it kind of morphed into the guy that went to UCLA to end up being a flame in the league. What's his name? He was recent too.
Josh Rosen.
Yeah, remember he was in the hot tub.
Yeah,
and all
the
that.
hot tub in his
Yeah.
dorm room.
And then
I really bought into Josh Rosen. I thought he'd be pretty good.
But once they said he played tennis, I was like, no. And once they said he was a tennis player, no
Jay
way.
Foreman is not here for your country club sports.
And I've already. And this is. I don't know if you're aware that Jake Sorensen has challenged me to my athletic prowess to
Yeah.
tennis because he's a country club kid.
Yeah, you got this
I-
whole Jake versus Jay thing
Yeah,
going on.
But I have a trainer now, and the trainer is Jake Sorensen's kryptonite. He doesn't know that I've already done background research on him.
Okay.
And I know his weakness too.
I love this. I love this so much.
I just got to do the prayer that the ankles and the ACL stay in line. That's the last thing I need to do is be on injury reserve.
I feel like the biggest challenge right now for you is just alignment.
Yeah. Just
alignment.
Disalignment.
Just keep it on the road.
Yep.
Keep it on the road.
I'm not.
keep the tires on.
Hey, if I don't get it in the first two strikes, I'm not Michael Chang. Remember him? He would run down everything.
Yeah.
I'll let that one go.
You're just you're out.
Yeah.
You know which points you're playing.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah. No long rallies.
I just
for
got to
Jay.
win by one.
no long rallies there. All right. We are going to take a quick time out here. We'll be back in the 5 o'clock hour. We'll dive into a little Husker talk. I got some questions for Jay. We'll see if we can suss out what Nebraska might have going on, specifically on the defensive side of the ball. I have some questions there for you. So
yeah,
we'll see what Jay has to say. We are going to hear from Alan Bell, who we talked to a little bit earlier today. Try to win some people some money with tonight's game, Saints, Dolphins, his thoughts on what's going on in the league, all that and more when Old School returns.
You're listening to Old School with DP and J. Download the mobile app and listen wherever you are on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Hey, buying a used vehicle sucks, and the biggest problem is who can you trust? Hey, this is Carl from Price Right Auto out here at West O Street in Lincoln. Here's what customers have told us they want from us. They want transparent pricing with no games. We have all of our pricing on our website, plus a Carfax report. We don't want to buy a lemon. We include a 3-month warranty on all of our vehicles. We don't want to play games. Just make it simple. You saw that with non-commissioned salespeople. Can you trust us? Just check out our Google reviews. Again, this is Carl from Price Right Auto in West O. Check us out at PriceRightAuto.com.
The Mercado by Certified Piedmontese Beef is Lincoln's newest full-service butcher shop, offering premium fresh-cut steaks and house-made sausages daily from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. They exclusively carry certified Piedmontese beef raised right here in Nebraska. When shopping at the Mercado, you're not only supporting local, but also enjoying the official beef of Nebraska Athletics. With prime-grade tenderness and unparalleled nutritionals, your backyard barbecue is about to get a serious upgrade. Stop into the Mercado today, located off 84th and Havelock in Lincoln.
They say one great thing leads to another, and that's especially true when you visit a Great Clips salon. When you sit down for a haircut with the skilled and friendly stylist at one of our thousands of convenient Great Clips locations, they'll not only make your hair look great, they'll make you feel great too. And that's something you can't help but share with the world. Download our online check-in app today and opt in to get a Ready Next text when you're up next. Great Clips. It's going to be great.
If you're struggling to get motivated to work out, you're not alone, and Farrell's Extreme Body Shaping is here to help. Build muscle, burn fat, and lose weight with Farrell's 10-week challenge, starting January 8th, all for a chance to win $1,000. Farrell's combines kickboxing with inclusive strength training and nutrition planning to help you stay on track. Go to fxblincoln.com to sign up today. It's the Farrell's Extreme Body Shaping 10-week challenge, starting January 8th, with 2 locations in Lincoln.
Hi, I'm Jay Foreman. When I played football for Nebraska in the NFL, I wore lots of protective gear to safeguard my health. I'm still protecting my health, as well as my family, friends, and community, because I got my COVID vaccine. And now, even kids 5 years and older can be vaccinated. If you've been vaccinated, get your booster shot if you qualify. It's free, it's safe, and it protects all of us. Suit up against COVID. Find out more at healthylincoln.org.
There's not many things worse than having plumbing issues at your home or business, but it's even worse if the problem isn't fixed correctly. Select Plumbing gets it right the first time, and they specialize in several things: general plumbing, water heaters, faucet and fixture repair, sewer and water underground repairs, backflow testing, and more. Keep your property free from leaks and other issues. Call today for a free estimate at 402-560-6197. That's Select Plumbing at 402-560-6197.
Hey, buying a used vehicle sucks, and the biggest problem is who can you trust? Hey, this is Carl from Price Right Auto out here at West O Street in Lincoln. Here's what customers have told us they want from us. They want transparent pricing with no games. We have all of our pricing on our website, plus a Carfax report. We don't want to buy a lemon. We include a 3-month warranty on all of our vehicles. We don't want to play games. Just make it simple. You saw that with non-commissioned salespeople. Can you trust us? Just check out our Google reviews. Again, this is Carl from Price Right Auto in West O. Check us out at PriceRightAuto.com.
Early break with Sip and Jake.
I mean, so many things you turn on now. You say it ain't so. Miami's not playing in the Sun Bowl.
Say it ain't so.
Say it ain't so. Whoa, whoa. Sorry about that, Lincoln. And everybody. Provo here today, so you never know.
Early break with Sip and Jake from 6 to 8 every weekday morning on 93.7 The Ticket. 93.7 The Ticket. Fox KFXL weather. Sponsored by John Henry's Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning.
Your KFXL Fox Nebraska weather. A cooler day for Monday with a high of 44 with mostly sunny skies and breezy northwest winds. Lighter winds expected into Monday night with a low around 26 along with partly cloudy skies. Breezy conditions are back for Tuesday with a high of 40 along with passing clouds. I'm meteorologist Regina Berg for 93.7 The Ticket and ticketfm.com.
Every time we make the choice to drive, we're making a choice that could have life or death consequences. Friedman Law Offices has proudly sponsored our holiday taxi service for 30 years. This year, we're proud to partner with Z-Trip to keep Lincoln's streets safer. Between 9 p.m. and 2 a.m. from December 15th to New Year's Day, you can get a free ride home if you've had too much to drink. Just call 402-474-SAFE or click Let Friedman Drive at friedmanlaw.com. Friedman Law Offices. Helping injured people. It's what we do. It's all we do.
This is Lincoln's home for sports talk on the FM dial. Also online at theticketfm.com. On the internet, KNTK FM Firth, 93.7 The Ticket. Coming at you live from the Coppel Chevrolet GMC studios. This is Old School, sponsored by the Mercado by Certified Piedmontese. Broadcasting veteran Derek Pearson.
When you find something that moves that makes them smile, celebrate it. That's your task. That's your superpower.
Nebraska Football Hall of Famer Jay Foreman.
Rifles a pass. It was tipped. It's picked up by Foreman. He's at the 15, 10, 5. He'll score!
On 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Welcome back to Old School. Mike Schaefer here, sitting in for DP, who is in New York having the time of his life, as he does every Christmas, basically. Jay Foreman sitting to my left here. We talked with Brian Christopherson a little bit. We got into some Nebraska stuff. It's a slow time right now. Everybody wants to know who the quarterback is. I want to know what the hell they're going to do at nose tackle. Because that remains like, and I'm a broken record with this. We've talked about it both on air, off air. I really thought that Damian Daniels helped Nebraska's kind of ascension the last couple years. I felt like he sort of guys could flood off of him a little bit. And I think that's going to be kind of tough to replace in a one-to-one fashion. And I don't know that you're going to be able to go into the transfer portal and get some wide-bodied individual, plug them in and have them help you out right away. So it kind of comes down to what have you kind of seen from Nash Hutmacher and Jordan Riley? And is there anybody else that we're not talking about that could be in that picture as well in the middle of the defense?
Well, here's what people don't understand when you're replacing a 2-3 year starter and a guy that played pretty well.
Yeah. Well, and you got to give Damian some credit because his conditioning was bad.
Yeah.
And it got better. And then he was playing 60 to 70% of the snaps.
Right. And so
there's not a lot of opportunity for Nash or someone to get snaps.
Sure, that's what I'm saying. It's not only the game snaps, it's the practice snaps, it's how he plays. So, for instance, when I played behind Ted Washington and Pat Williams, I knew exactly how they played. But then it took me a little while when I went and played in Houston behind Seth Payne.
Mm-hmm.
Both those three are phenomenal to play. Everybody plays it different. So now when you were in the middle, every good defense, if you think of I always go back to the Pittsburgh Steelers when they were really good. You had Casey Hampton, you had Ferrier, Troy Polamalu, Ryan Clark, and all those. You're strong up the middle. Same thing when Nebraska was playing well on defense. It starts with Damian Daniels, so that's hard to replace. You're not gonna just do it 1-for-1,
right?
Because if it was 1-for-1, we would be talking about who we're playing in the bowl game. you know what I mean? Because if you could replace those guys at all these different positions, that's why it makes it a big hole. So I'm sure it's going to be a combination of guys. But look, man, Damian had to start somewhere because when he first. See, here's the thing. Also, what people look at, they look at the end product.
They don't think about the beginning.
Right?
No.
And there was questions about him at the beginning.
Oh yeah,
conditioning wise.
I remember what Mike Dawson said about him right away.
And playing. So there's everybody else that can do it, and it was good for Nash to get some reps this year. And he played. One thing I was happy and proud of him is that he went in there at Wisconsin against Wisconsin on surprise. You're playing not only a couple snaps, you're playing the whole second half, and more than held his own. And then you got Jordan Riley, who's obviously has more experience, and showed some flashes towards the end of the year. So I'm sure it's going to be a combination of things. I look at it, not only do those guys need to play, step up to the plate, but then everybody else needs to get better. You know what I mean? The good thing, the great thing about this year, and this isn't just to kind of gloss over your question, is the defense played good, right? And played pretty consistent. I think for 10 weeks, they played more than winning football. The last 2 weeks wasn't the standard of what they did 10 weeks prior, in my opinion. Now, granted, my I guess, benchmark is a lot higher because I'm a defensive player and I believe in those guys. So, but when you think about that, as good as they played at times this year, there's a ton of teaching tape, and everybody has to get better. Nobody should be showing up in January or whenever they start up again and start kind of thinking about, 2022, thinking, man, I played so great. You know what I mean? And so, in that case, to answer your question, it should be Casey steps up, Ty steps up, Jordan steps up, Nash steps up, the outside linebackers step up, inside linebackers step up as well. And then so you can kind of make up that difference of not only him, but the safeties too, Dismuke and Deontay as well, by playing better and more consistent up front and getting better. Not just playing as good as you played last year, play better. And it might be something that you're better at reading the plays, that you're better at, play diagnosis. Definitely we need to get better at, covering a tight end across the middle. There's things that, you need to get better from everybody talks about the quarterback lack of experience. Well, the experience that these guys got this year, which is great because you had a mix of older guys and younger guys, that the mistakes that they were making weren't as magnified because you had more veteran guys out there and they actually played good team defense versus quarterback. Everything it's either you're doing great or you're doing crappy. So the experience is a little bit more magnified, but there's tons of teaching tape and tons of guys. There's plenty of opportunity. You got the, you got the young freshman from Michigan last year.
Roquan Buckley.
Jalen
Weaver from California.
More Roquan Buckley showed flashes, and he's very young, doesn't know what he's doing, but he seems like he's always around, making plays.
People, yeah.
So those are good things, and that's a credit to not only how Nebraska's recruited, but then also for Tuioti as far as getting those guys that, transition from high school to, obviously college, Power 5 at that. So the cupboard's not depleted. It's a good situation for whoever coaches that defensive line to have Casey and Ty in there.
Yeah. I just went from Damian Daniels, who I view as a pretty sizable loss. The second aspect that I also think is sizable, and we'll get to JoJo Domann and all of that, the communication and the veteran play of those two safeties.
Right.
That's going to be really hard to replace. Not just you don't have Cam Taylor-Britt, you don't have Deontay Williams, you don't have Markel Dismuke from a games played standpoint. The communication of what they kind of are in charge of and getting everything else done, replacing that's going to be really tough for Travis Fisher this spring, getting guys ready for the fall.
Right. It's a safety net to where there's probably not too many calls that they had that would come in that they didn't know, and there's not too many trick plays or iffy situations or formations that they hadn't seen. So it gives you a lot of ease as a coordinator, and as if I'm a linebacker, that knowing having Mike Minner and those guys behind me, I know those guys will clean up, right? So yeah, it's a lot to replace. It's familiarity. Every time they ran out there, you know what you're going to get. You know what I'm saying? Those the game reps, the practice reps, and I'm gonna tell you what about those two. For being super seniors, they came to work every single day. They were there for the right reasons. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. They cared about football. The teammates, offense and defense, and the coaches respected the heck out of both of them. So that goes a long way. So when they talked, they're getting guys' attention. So it's a hard thing to do. But hey, look, at some point in time, guys got to step up, and everybody has to play better in order for the defense to keep ascending in the right direction. There, nobody has room or time for excuses to be like, oh, well, you lost JoJo Domann, Markel, Cam Taylor-Britt, Deontay Williams, and Damian Daniels. So, you know what? Send out a memo or email to the rest of the Big Ten West and say, can you feel sorry for us for a year? Please just take it a little bit easier on it.
Yeah.
Actually, they would probably say, okay, well, we're going to have you play Iowa, Michigan State, and Ohio State 4 years in a row just to shove it down your throat. So if I'm a player, right, if I'm an incoming high school freshman, or if I'm even a guy that's in high school now, right, or I'm on the roster, I'm not worried about what they did. I'm thinking this is my time. And
I gotta go up.
There's guys that it happens on there. There's guys that have seen things on tape that they think I can go out there and do that. Well, ain't no time like the present. You know, so it's a lot of opportunity, and you should be excited. You should be welcoming it, and it's nobody has any chance. You know, you could kind of have the excuses. Like, so say like me and you were in a DB room, right? Those guys are veterans. You know, this is the thing I always say about Adrian, right? If you're worried about the transfer portal, Justin Fields would have to come here and try to, like, doesn't matter who the offense. Yeah. And this is my opinion, right? This is how I would be thinking of it. Hurt shoulder and all. I've been here. I'm a pretty good quarterback, right?
They know what they have, yeah.
Right? And unless Justin Fields comes in here, it doesn't matter if the guy from USC comes.
Right.
You get what I'm saying? So now if me and you were in the DB room, and the same thing is with those guys, with Markel and Deontay roll out there, they're a known product. They're trusted. They made plays. Deontay was having a phenomenal season, right? 4 picks, and was playing really good in the run and played the pass pretty well, right? So we could be sitting in the DB room like, damn, we could be in the dorm or whatever, thinking like, man, we could do that. We ain't never really getting a fair chance. Well, hey, right now, as soon as that last game against Iowa was over,
doors wide open.
And there is no known product.
Right.
And even if they bring in a JUCO guy,
doesn't matter.
And we're actually in a better place than them because we've been here before.
Right.
We know the weight training regimen. We know the meetings. We know we're the first one. If they say against this formation, what's the check? Me and you should know that. Now, if we don't, that's our problem, because that means we were probably sleeping in meetings or not paying attention or just being okay with being okay. And that's the biggest thing. Don't be just okay with being okay and being comfortable, being on the team and wearing the sweatsuits and social media and getting all the free food and all that. Even if you're not starting, you should have been preparing like you were a starter, because there was times that, like we just talked about Nash, right? Now, okay, Nash was at Wisconsin. That was towards the end of the season, right?
Right.
Now there is no time off. You're 3-9. There is no time off. What do you rest in your body? I get it. You're resting your body, but let's be honest. If we were playing in a bowl game, what would you be doing? Getting ready. So you need to finish every season, and you need to get ahead of the game, because you never know. A kid from JUCO, a kid from high school is going to come in, and he coming in hungry. I know the dude from New Jersey, Jadon, I think is
Jaden Gold.
Jaden. I'll be destroying these guys now. That's why I don't do none of it. Let me tell you something. You talking about a dude that's trying to smash some folks?
Yeah.
And talking about closing in on. You talking about, when I look at safeties and DBs, I look for two things. What you're like on contact. Well, I look for a few. Play entry, right? Footwork. All three of those things for him.
Jump off
the screen, and he's big, right? So you don't say, hey, he needs to get 15 pounds. He's already big enough. And now, granted, it's just his huddle tape, right? So I don't even watch anything. I just flip on it, and I can usually tell within the first 6, 7, 10 plays. But you can tell he loves to play football. So when you see somebody that loves to play football, and I'm competing against them,
right,
you might be in trouble.
You got to be able to match there.
Because he's going to be in a room like this.
Yeah.
Love watching it. That means that on Monday night, he's watching that game. He's envisioning himself doing these plays. So you talk about mental reps, that means he's getting ahead of you in some form or fashion. And he's coming in hungry. He's going to be laser-like focused.
Yep.
And also, he's coming from a good program that's already kind of got him prepared for college life, right? Played in a competitive league, competitive high school, tough-minded coach. So he's not going to come here and nothing's going to be such a shock to him from a work standpoint.
Yeah.
So this is the funny thing now to recruiting, whereas sometimes I think people get ranked based on where they reside, right? Whereas it should be, you need to put more emphasis on how they're coached, right? Because that's going to lead to the transition quicker.
And how quickly they can play.
Because if you're say you're from Atlanta, right? And you've always kind of been coddled, but you're a great athlete and you've never been challenged or never been in true competition, and you kind of played varsity as a freshman. Maybe you didn't start, but you started as a sophomore, junior, senior. So you've never been in competition.
Yeah.
Versus coming from New Jersey, and was it Bergen, where that dude had to be through the grind. You got off season. So when he got there, he's ready to go. Now those two match up, right? Who has a little bit more juice in the tank, because he's welcomed the competition. And that's where the difference, I think, goes. And you can't do that with everybody because it would, they would, it's would be a lot of resources. But that's where you see the biggest difference versus where you reside or where you come from, because it makes the kid. You know what I mean? And you see some kids that just don't like some kids don't like to be coached. Some kids don't like competition. Some people like bring it on.
Some have never competed. Some have never lost.
Right.
And when they lose, they don't know how to respond to it.
Then it's always like, well, then I'll just go in the transfer portal. And then you go somewhere else and you lose. There's only so many times you can blame the coaches.
Right.
If you're busting cover 3 or if you're not doing stuff, there's only so many coaches you can blame. Because football ain't changing. You know what I'm saying? Cover 3 is
where you are as to where, you think you might go.
Yeah. I mean, and I get it. Look, Justin Fields sitting behind Fromm. I get it. And playing one play against Alabama. I understand it. The proof came in the pudding, right? That's quarterback. That's a one position. And it's now you see you can't always look at that, right? For every Justin Fields, there's a Tate Martell. There's been, I think he might be on his 4th college, right?
Right. Yeah.
And he dipped in at wide receiver, played wide receiver a little bit.
Quarterback's really hard because sometimes it's just being with the right coach in the right situation.
Right.
You get guys that start at a program. What is it? Who's the famous quarterback that started at Penn State, couldn't play under Joe Paterno, transferred, then became a fantastic NFL. I know this story is out there. I think Joe Flacco was one of the guys who went to Penn. But there's an NFL Hall of Famer, I think.
Yeah, Joe Flacco was at Penn State, went to Delaware.
Was Jim Kelly? Was he? No. Who am I thinking of? There's someone I'm thinking of. Whatever. Doesn't matter. I want to get in one more on the defense here. I am fascinated what Barrett Root is going to do with 77 inside linebackers on the roster.
He's going to roll the ball out, let him go.
He's got Luke Reimer, you got Nick Hendricks. Those are your 2 starters they return. Will Honus is trying to get another year of eligibility. I don't know if that I can't remember if that's already been declared or not. Chris Kolarovich played in a backup role for you a lot last year.
That's 4.
You've got Randolph Kapai, Wyndon Hohuli. Those are freshmen.
Yeah.
Mekhi Bayer, who was out all of last year, who I don't know how. Mekhi, from the recruit that I talked to, is the kind of kid that's sitting and watching film when he was out.
Yeah.
I don't know what he was like this year.
That's exactly
that guy's going to be coming hard this spring. You have Garrett Snodgrass. I think Eteva Malga Clements. I mean,
so that's 9, right?
You have 9 guys.
Yeah. That's a coach's.
Seth Malcolm's 10.
That's coach's dream, isn't it?
And it's not going to work for everybody.
No, well, in a 3-4, only 2 play start, 4 probably play in a game. Now you got you got a little bit of leeway because you got a lot of young guys, and they need to. You got 2 coming off injuries from Kapai.
Ernest Hausman's coming in early.
Ernest Hausman, yeah. So then that's 11.
I said 77. I'm only 66 off right now.
It seems like it. It might be 77 because all of them are on scholarship. So I mean, it's a little bit of break difference because Honus, Kapai,
different.
So they're
you have Honus and Malga Clements would be seniors,
right?
And then Kolarovich would be a senior,
right?
And
everything
else
like
works
freshman.
down from sophomore year on,
right? So there's a little bit of break as far as I guess waiting your turn or whatever. But it's a good problem to have. It definitely will push Nick and Luke, which those 2 from the little I know of them, they're both competitors and they both want to get better. They both love football. They both are workers, so I don't think that they'll ever show up and think like they've made it. They don't ever ask for a practice off. They don't try to find a way to, they call it finesse the way to get their practice off. They're definitely out there. And so look, everybody else is going to be pushing them to get, snaps, which is a series or 2. And which it only can make the defense better. And in this day and age, when you're playing against teams trying to run 70, 80, 90 plays, you're going to need more than just your starters.
You were talking earlier in the first hour about you got to Buffalo and your agent made it apparent that 90% of the roster is already set. So you have to go, for the lack of a better term, bust your ass to make special teams to make the roster.
Make a name for you, yeah.
Isn't that what a lot of those inside linebackers are going to have to do?
Hey, look, man, if you want, we
were talking about special teams nonstop. Some of it is you need these guys who don't have defined roles to make special teams their life.
Yeah, that's what you need. You need more like Taggy on our team or on the team. He loves special teams. That's what I'm saying. You can't be just okay with being comfortable. Everybody needs to have a role. You need to be playing and it's a football play.
Is it hard when you have that many guys on? It's different in the NFL. You're condensed down to
53
guys. Kind of know what they are.
Yeah, you should.
Especially if you make an NFL roster,
Right.
you know why you're there.
You should.
But
Now,
when you have 85 guys plus
they-
however many walk-ons Nebraska, it's some 120 guys sometimes rolling around at practice.
Some guys fight it.
Yeah.
There's a lot of guys, and this is just the way kids are. They fight it. They fight getting out of their own way. And this isn't necessarily hadn't have to do with Nebraska. This is just in kids in general, like fighting out of getting out of their own way, to understanding patience, earning what they need to, what they want. They'll tell you all the stuff like you do. Like when you guys go see them Tuesdays and Wednesdays, they'll get up there and tell you all the stuff, right?
Mhm.
And it'll sound good, but their words isn't.
What are they
matching up.
doing Monday through
It's
Saturday?
not matching up with their actions, right? So the few guys that ever asked me about special teams, one, I always told them one thing I learned. Thurman Thomas told me this. Now, granted, Thurman maybe returned kicks at some point in time in his career. Maybe, you know what I mean? He never had to cover kicks.
Yeah.
But he practiced them. He was on second team kickoff. He always told me this. You always, every game, make sure you play well on special teams, because if you have a bad game on defense, they'll never cut. It's harder for them to cut you.
Yeah.
Because special teams are so important. And what he means is if you have the right mental makeup, you can come back from a bad individual game. But if you have a bad individual game and you're not worth anything on special teams, they're ready to get rid of you. Another thing I always say is, like, if I'm the coach and you come in to my office and saying that you want to play more, so potentially you're saying you want to start and play, let's just say 50 plays, right? But you can't play 5 plays on special teams, I'll tell you to get out of my office. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, I do, because I think a great example of that happened on Sunday. Rex Burkhead had a monster game.
Right.
What has Rex Burkhead done for 9 years in the NFL?
Everything.
Every single
thing.
special teams unit he can play on, he's played on.
He's done it well, and he does everything that he can on offense as well.
I think he's such a perfect example of what guys need not like they don't need to be Rex Burkhead, but they need to have that mentality.
Right.
That guy's down in punts. That guy has been, on coverage units.
He does there's not a meeting that he's not involved in.
Yeah.
I guarantee you.
I think he's special.
If
for that
you
reason.
needed Rex Burkhead to go in there as a wing protector on field goal, he would do it.
Yeah.
If you need him to go on field goal, he would know what to do. You got too many guys that hear special teams and they tune out.
Because it's not them.
Well, you should be, because you ain't playing.
Right, but the mentality is that's someone else's job.
Right.
I'm here to do this.
Nebraska needs to get guys to understand. Stop. It's not Halloween. Stop dressing up like a football player just to be on the sidelines and get pictures taken. Get out there and get dirty. Yeah. I mean, they always show the play of Mike Rucker knocking the Kansas State guy's helmet off. Mike Rucker played 9 years in the league. I played 9.
Rex Burkhead's in his ninth year.
9, yeah, and he's going to probably play 12.
He's a 32-year-old running back at a position where they chew you up, spit you out, send you on your way.
But there's not a team. I guarantee if he becomes a free agent, he'll get a job.
Yeah.
And he'll make every team.
Yeah. His mentality has just impressed me from
And
the
he's
day that I met him.
and he's in recent history, I guess him and Amir are probably the 2 best running backs we've had in the last 12 years.
Yeah.
I know Roy Halou, but just those 2. Fanfare, Rex.
Right. Well, in terms of popularity and everything.
Rex for sure. But now, look, I mean, he's still rolling.
Yeah.
After an ACL.
And that's a mentality.
Right.
That's 100%.
So all these guys thinking about getting drafted from this team, you better get ready for it. I remember, hey, Marlo Perley told me, and he was a veteran. He's like, you ready for the kickback unit? And I was like, what do you mean? He's like, you better learn how to kick back on punt team.
Yeah.
Don't come in thinking that nobody from Nebraska that's getting drafted this year, potentially, or getting drafted, is coming in and the team is like, this is the missing piece for us to get to Super Bowl Sunday. You're a small piece to be running down on kickoffs on Sunday, and you better be hitting that line quick.
All right, let's take a quick break. We're going to come back. We'll have Alan Bell from Sportsline interview a little bit earlier today. We'll bring him in. We'll try to win you some money here with Monday Night Football, other things going on, get his thoughts on the NFL when we return with Old School.
Watch Old School live on Facebook, YouTube, or Twitch. Old School with DP and J on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com. Early break with Sip and Jake.
I mean, so many things you turn on now. You say it ain't so. Miami's not playing in the Sun Bowl.
Say it ain't so.
Say it ain't so. Whoa, whoa. Sorry about that, Lincoln.
Might
and everybody.
Pro Bowl here today, so you never know.
Early break with Sip and Jake from 6 to 8 every weekday morning on 93.7 The Ticket. 93.7 The Ticket. Fox KFXL weather. Sponsored by John Henry's Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning.
Your KFXL Fox, Nebraska weather. A cooler day for Monday with a high of 44 with mostly sunny skies and breezy northwest winds. Lighter winds expected in
It's free, it's safe, and it protects all of us. Suit up against COVID. Find out more at healthylincoln.org.
If you're struggling to get motivated to work out, you're not alone, and Farrell's Extreme Body Shaping is here to help. Build muscle, burn fat, and lose weight with Farrell's 10-week challenge starting January 8th, all for a chance to win $1,000. Farrell's combines kickboxing with inclusive strength training and nutrition planning to help you stay on track. Go to fxblincoln.com to sign up today. It's the Farrell's Extreme Body Shaping 10-week challenge starting January 8th with 2 locations in Lincoln.
Hey, sports fans, Rico here with HIS Auto Care 70th and Van Dorn. Carfax recently awarded us as a top-rated auto service center for 2020, and Lincoln Choice Awards voted us as the 2021 top independent auto repair center. Call us at 402-488-8934 for superior service bumper to bumper. Mention this ad and get 7% off. Doesn't get any better than that. Rico for his Auto Care 70th and Van Dorn. God bless you.
93.7 The Ticket is proud to provide listeners with daily opportunities to win contests and prizes on our airwaves, and would like to take this opportunity to remind you of a couple rules. All participants must be 21 or older and wait 30 days after winning a prize before participating in another contest. Once you win, you have 30 days to pick up your prize at the KNTK Studios, 330 North 48th Street in Lincoln, or your prize will be forfeited. Thank you for participating in our contest, and thank you for listening to 93.7 The Ticket.
This is your High School Minute.
With your Southeast Community College High School Minute, I'm Harrison Arns. In basketball on Monday, the Parkview Christian boys dominated Lewiston 73-14, but would lose a game the next day against Hartington Cedar Catholic 45-73 in the Archbishop Bergen Holiday Tournament. The Parkview Christian girls also won in their matchup over Lewiston 51-41. On Tuesday, December 21st, Lincoln Lutheran got a win over Mount Michael 57-46. Johnny Jules led Lincoln Lutheran with 14 points. In girls basketball, Lincoln North Star dominated Grand Island in a win 58-17. Sarah Gottweck led the Navigators with 19 points, and Lincoln Christian lost to Omaha Skutt 64-45. In wrestling matchups on Tuesday, Lincoln Christian won over Palmyra 66-12. Millard West dominated Lincoln Northeast 69-12. Lincoln Southeast edged out a win in their matchup against Fremont 44-36. This has been your High School Minute, sponsored by Southeast Community College, with locations in Lincoln, Beatrice, and Milford. Learn more today at southeast.edu.
There's not many things worse than having plumbing issues at your home or business, but it's even worse if the problem isn't fixed correctly. Select Plumbing gets it right the first time, and they specialize in several things: general plumbing, water heaters, faucet and fixture repair, sewer and water underground repairs, backflow testing, and more. Keep your property free from leaks and other issues. Call today for a free estimate at 402-560-6197. That's Select Plumbing at 402-560-6197.
Back to Old School with DP and J on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Well, we'll bring in Alan Bell to talk about the NFL, which also happens to be, having its own COVID situation right now. Good morning, Alan.
Good morning. Yeah, I thought you were going to segue. Hey, speaking of COVID, let's just talk to Alan.
Like I either have it like constantly, like I just keep getting it, even though I'm completely vaccinated.
How do you?
That would just be bad luck.
How do you? It would be. How do you manage it from like a betting? Like you really got to focus on some of these things if you're going to go betting on NFL games right now.
Dude, it's so hard. And then these bowl games are impossible, right? So anybody out there that's betting on these games, like I feel your pain, dude. Like it's hard. It's very hard. I'll say this: I found so much more success betting player props than betting, spreads and totals right now because you just don't know. I mean, you just don't know. You've got to wait until like literally the last second. So you're getting the worst line out there. Yeah, I would suggest anybody that's betting, look at player props. You could find a lot more success there right now.
How much does when you see a guy on a run like Mark Andrews has in terms of yardage, how much does Vegas bump up when they see like he's had 100+ yards the last 3 games? They're ravaged by COVID. They don't have a lot of passing options anyways. Like, is that someone that you're tracking from a perspective of, okay, if that number is sitting around like 61 yards, you're really looking at it, or what do you do with a guy like that when he's on a bit of a run?
Yeah, absolutely. And you nailed it right there. You had to put a number in your head, right? Okay, if the number is below this number, right, I'm betting the over automatically. Okay, and there's a couple of guys coming into this weekend that were kind of in that category. Him being one of them. Cooper Kupp, he seemingly, his number every week is like 104 receiving yards, and my man just keeps crushing it, right? Like he's just an animal. And then Jonathan Taylor with the Colts, he entered this weekend with 11 straight rushing touchdowns, so he actually didn't get one. So, there you go. But yeah, man, like, when you have streaks and stuff like this, yeah, absolutely ride those trends, man. They're telling you something.
So around this time, hopefully not forever here, but you got COVID to deal with. If you're doing the Bulls, you're doing that, and like opt-outs, you got to watch all that. And then around this time of year, specifically weather. I wanted to ask you about this because Schaefer mentioned something that you kind of had thought about before. How do you approach betting on games or even props when you know that snow is going to be a factor? Is it different? When it's snow versus rain or snow versus, windy snow, like, I guess, how do you come down on all that stuff?
Yeah, definitely. So I'll say this, man, snow is really not that big of a factor, honestly. We saw the Seahawks and the Bears yesterday.
Yeah.
Those two teams, for two not very good teams, them putting up 46, 47 points, whatever it was, like pretty strong, right? So like snow, I don't necessarily worry about. It's what you just said. Rain, that can absolutely have an effect on games. But to be completely honest with you, for me, it's wind. If you have a game that's really windy, like it's going to affect not only, both teams passing in the game, it's going to affect field goals. It's going to affect extra points. Like go back to that first Patriots and Bills game when it was super cold and, and snowing. Like I wasn't really worried about the cold. Wasn't really worried about, the snow precipitation. It was the wind.
Yeah, it was like 60 miles an hour wind. Yeah.
Yeah. So wind, like for me, wind is the absolute number one factor.
You're right there in Nashville. I feel like the Titans are sneakily right on the precipice of getting a very important bye if the Chiefs were to drop one more game. Do you think the Titans would benefit more than almost anyone in the NFL by having that extra week, given the status of Derrick Henry?
Oh, God, yes. They really would. First Henry, but not only him, I mean, this entire team. Like, they went into this game against the 49ers, with 2 starting linemen that were out, man, it was a COVID situation, but still, like, they haven't played one game this year where their offensive line that started the game finished the game, right? Like, I mean, this team is just banged up everywhere. So, it would help a ton. Look, I don't think it's going to happen. The Chiefs are the best team in the NFL, and I don't see them stopping anytime soon. But the good thing for the Titans is that they play the Dolphins this week. If they didn't get a win at home against Miami, all right, week 18 they play the Texans. So even if they don't get the number 1 seed, they can seemingly use that game against the Texans a little bit. Rest some guys who need it. So they've got some options there. But yeah, like the number 1 seed for them would be super, super massive.
Which team would you rather play less right now? I think if we put aside the Chiefs, because you just mentioned they're the best team, they also seem to be one of, if not the hottest team right now. But as far as peaking at the right time, I'm going to pinpoint the Bills and the Cowboys. Which team would you want to play less right now?
Oh God, probably the Cowboys. To be honest with you, the Bills are good, but they're still like you could get after them, right? Like there were chances where New England could get back in that game. Dallas, when they're on offensively, you're done. Like you just toast unless you're a team like the Chiefs or the Packers, somebody that's like super high echelon that can play. Like everybody else is going to be toast because you just can't keep up. And you look at their defense and what Diggs and everybody else is doing. I mean, they're just on fire. They remind me of the Chiefs so much in the sense of this, that it's so much offensive that you pay attention to. And then you look up and you're like, my God, like the defense scores touchdowns too every week. Like this is a problem. You know what I mean? So yeah, like unless you're like the Chiefs or the Packers or somebody, dude, Cowboys are scary right now.
Do we think the Cardinals are undergoing kind of one of those ruts that some of these teams like the Bills, the Chiefs, the Cowboys went through, where you kind of either started to write them off a little bit, or do we think that there's real red flag issues with this Cardinals team as they're leaking oil down the finish line?
Oh, there are red flags for sure, and it's mostly on their head coach. Like Cliff Kingsbury has done this since college. He's done this with Arizona already as well. Like they start super hot and they just kind of the wheels fall off, towards the end. Now, I still have to see it out. Like, I'm not going to say that, like, that's absolutely what happens, because anytime you have Kyler as your quarterback, dude, you can win a game, right? Like, I mean, that team is good. But no, man, like, this is a red flag because we've already seen it on two different levels out of Cliff Kingsbury, and it's happening again. So, we'll see. The Colts are a good team. They're another one up there. Like not a lot of people want to play the Colts right now. They're playing excellent football. So I'll give Arizona the benefit of the doubt there, but it's a red flag for me for sure.
A lot of stuff is kind of, or at least it's getting close to sorted out in the AFC with Kansas City and Tennessee and Cincinnati. Looks like they have a bit of a stranglehold on that division now, and Buffalo feels better than New England at the moment. And then you have this kind of mess of these teams after that. Who are the last, two playoff teams in the AFC right now? I mean, you have New England and Indy are at 9-6. Baltimore is at 8-7. Chargers are 8-7. Vegas is 8-7. The Steelers still have that tie that might help them out, which is really crazy. Miami, if with a win tonight, could go to 8-7. Who is this last team going to be in the AFC?
Yeah, it's fascinating, right? Like, I think Miami is the scariest team out there. Because if they beat the Saints tonight, beat the Titans next week, which is absolutely possible, right? Like the Titans aren't playing that great of football. The 49ers just kind of fell into exactly what the Titans defense excels at. The Dolphins are the scariest team because they play absolute physical, real defense. And they can beat you on the ground, and Tua's playing all right. The Chargers and the Raiders, like they're kind of the same team. The Chargers can just score more points sometimes.
Yep, I totally agree.
Yeah, they're just not that good. Like they're just not consistent. The Ravens are trying to fall apart. Like time is going to just let them fall apart on their own. They're a mess, man. But yeah, man, like the AFC at the bottom is a mess. I can't wait to see who makes it.
I don't feel like any of those teams are that bad though. Like each of those would be a 7 seed.
Yeah, I wouldn't be excited to face any of those teams if I was the 2.
See, and you just brought it up. Like that's a perfect point right there. All right, so like the Dolphins, like if you face them, like at first glance, like it doesn't sound that bad, but then you're like, oh dear God, like they don't give up many points and they make a lot of turnovers. They'll run the ball down your throat. Like you don't want to face that, and they're hot right now, right? You look at the Chargers, yeah, they don't seem that great. But dude, Justin Herbert in one game can put up 50 points, right? Like if you catch him in that game, you're toast. Like I think that the Raiders and the Ravens, I wouldn't mind playing them because they just don't do it offensively, for you. And you can have on their defense as well, obviously, what Joe Burrow showed. But yeah, I'm with you, man. Like the Dolphins and the Chargers, dude, I wouldn't want to play them. You know what I mean? Like just because you catch them on the wrong day, dude, and you're done.
When you saw the news about Joe Judge and Daniel Jones, how excited were you to bet on the Giants to have the worst record next year or Joe Judge to be the first coach fired?
Yeah, man. Like, I'm just not buying into any of this. Like, let me say this. I don't think Daniel Jones is that bad of a quarterback. I'm not saying he's good.
He needs help.
But yeah, exactly. Like, I remember seeing, just giving a local perspective, I remember seeing Ryan Tannehill in Miami, which where you're like, this guy's not bad, but this team stinks. You know what I mean? And it's like, if you just give him, an opportunity with a better team, he might show you something. But this Giants team, like, I'm out. I'm out on this, on this coaching staff, and I'll tell you why. Like, this high school Harry stuff gets annoying. And have you ever noticed, like, the coaches that are the loudest, about, oh, we play aggressive, we play to win, 10 toes down, we'll fight anybody in an alley. Those are always the most conservative, bland,
Mike Zimmer?
no creativity, right? Like, they're always like that. So it's like I don't buy into what Joe Judge is trying to do. You don't get logos on your shirts till you earn it. So, like, the NFL, dude. Like, let's just practice get some good players and go. It's annoying to me.
We're all professionals here. We don't need any motivational speeches.
Yeah. Well, and it's one of those, like, where you look up, like, you're one of the players who're like, dude, I make more than you. Shut up.
Right.
Coach, man. Like, I'll just get some plays up for it.
We have a Monday night game tonight between the Dolphins and Saints that will feature Ian Book, I believe, quarterbacking the New Orleans Saints. What in the world are we looking at here from a gambling perspective?
Oh, you're looking at 600 carries for Alvin Kamara tonight. That's what you're looking at. Like, it's going to be like, Ian Book's not that bad. But the problem is that Miami's defense, first off, they run man press cover zero about 51% of the time. They have their cornerbacks, just man coverage, right on the line, right on you. You know what time it is. They give you zero time. And their defensive line is aggressive. They put pressure on the quarterback a ton, and they are going to have their ears pinned back tonight. So it could be tough for Ian Book. The problem is on the other side as well, is that you got Miami's offense, which is all right. It's pretty good. But the New Orleans Saints defense is really good, and they're going to have pressure on Tua as well. Like, this game, it's either going to be one of those to where they put up 60 points or they put up 10 points, right? You know what I mean? Like, it's only going to go one of those, like, two crazy extremes. And I think it's going to be the points, actually. I think this game gets pretty weird, and I think it's going to be pretty fun. But, yeah, man, you're looking at two really good defenses tonight.
Alan Bell, what the hell parlay of the week?
Perfect parlay right into that conversation, okay? So, look, you know what? We're going to go something a little wild, even more for tonight. Okay, here's what we've got. All right, and I'll put this on Twitter right after the show. All right, plus 1150. Here's all we need, fellas. Here's all we need.
Okay.
We need one fumble lost in the game. Okay? So
yeah.
we can get that pretty easy. The final score has to end on an even number. All right? The Saints win outright.
Okay.
And the total points are over 37.5. So there you go.
So, all right, we're going to recap this. A fumble lost in the game. The final score ends on an even number. New Orleans wins and the over.
Yep. There you go.
Amazing. I love the even number throw-in.
Yeah.
Like,
I know.
This is
like we have any effect on that whatsoever, right?
It's a completely reasonable bet right up until the even number.
Well, that's the thing that makes it great. It's like Alan in his head is like, yeah, what the hell? Throw it in.
I know.
We look forward to it, man. We'll talk to you later.
All right. See you, boys. Thank you.
Alan Bell of Sportsline. Great stuff from him.
That was Alan Bell. He's going to try to win you some money. Be sure to check out the Alan Bell What the Hell parlay tonight. Saints versus Dolphins. We'll get Jay's thoughts on that game. We'll finish up the show for Old School when we return next.
You're listening to Old School with DP and J. Download the mobile app and listen wherever you KFXL weather, sponsored by John Henry's Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning.
Your KFXL Fox, Nebraska weather. A cooler day for Monday with a high of 44 with mostly sunny skies and breezy northwest winds. Lighter winds expected into Monday night with a low around 26 along with partly cloudy skies. Breezy conditions are back for Tuesday with a high of 40 along with passing clouds. I'm meteorologist Regina Bird for 93.7 The Ticket and ticketfm.com.
93.7 The Ticket is proud to provide listeners with daily opportunities to win contests and prizes on our airwaves, and would like to take this opportunity to remind you of a couple rules. All participants must be 21 or older and wait 30 days after winning a prize before participating in another contest. Once you win, you have 30 days to pick up your prize at the KNTK Studios, 330 North 48th Street in Lincoln, or your prize will be forfeited. Thank you for participating in our contest, and thank you for listening to 93.7 The Ticket.
Hi, I'm Charlie Stone, and in just a few moments, Andy Goodyear, General Manager of Honda of Lincoln, will be joining us with the latest update. But before I bring Andy on, I'd like to tell our listeners about how proud I am to work with Honda of Lincoln. I like the way they provide listeners honest, up-to-date information that helps people make informed decisions about buying or leasing. Hey, Andy, are you with us?
Yes, I am, Charlie, and thank you for your comment.
Andy, what's happening at Honda of Lincoln?
We still have truckloads of new Hondas arriving daily, and there's still more than 500 new Hondas to choose from, either in stock or on the way. Plus, we have 0% APR financing available.
How about used, Andy?
One of our best selections of all makes and models, and we have a great selection of certified pre-owned Hondas that have special APR starting at 0.99%.
That's great, Andy. Come experience the Honda of Lincoln way of doing business, 27th and Yankee Hill Road, or online at hondaoflincoln.com.
Hey, sports fans. Rico here with HIS Auto Care 70th and Van Dorn. Carfax recently awarded us as a top-rated auto service center for 2020, and Lincoln Choice Awards voted us as the 2021 top independent auto repair center. Call us at 402-488-8934 for superior service bumper to bumper. Mention this ad and get 7% off. Doesn't get any better than that. Rico for his Auto Care, 70th and Van Dorn. God bless you.
This is Jay Foreman. I wore gear to protect my health on the football field, and now I'm protecting it with the COVID vaccine. Everyone, even kids 5 years and older, can get the vaccine too. If you've been vaccinated, now you can get your booster shot if you qualify. Stay strong, get vaccinated, and learn more at healthylincoln.org.
Guys, we need to talk about a problem plaguing our society today: chronic fruitcake slander. Now, maybe you're thinking, I've had fruitcake. It's dry and heavy. Well, I'm here to tell you that you're eating the wrong fruitcake, because Grandma's Fruitcake is anything but. Their recipe uses the highest quality fruits, hand-sorted nuts, and adds the perfect amount of brandy, bourbon, and rum. Their desserts are known and loved across the country, and they're made right here in Southeast Nebraska. If you haven't tried them yet, you're missing out. Grandma's Fruitcake from Beatrice Bakery. Welcome to our world of yum.
Every time we make the choice to drive, we're making a choice that could have life or death consequences. Friedman Law Offices has proudly sponsored our holiday taxi service for 30 years. This year, we're proud to partner with Z-Trip to keep Lincoln's streets safer. Between 9 p.m. and 2 a.m. from December 15th to New Year's Day, you can get a free ride home if you've had too much to drink. Just call 402-474-SAFE or click Let Friedman Drive at friedmanlaw.com. Friedman Law Offices. Helping injured people. It's what we do. It's all we do.
There's not many things worse than having plumbing issues at your home or business, but it's even worse if the problem isn't fixed correctly. Select Plumbing gets it right the first time, and they specialize in several things: general plumbing, water heaters, faucet and fixture repair, sewer and water underground repairs, backflow testing, and more. Keep your property free from leaks and other issues. Call today for a free estimate at 402-560-6197. That's Select Plumbing at 402-560-6197.
Back to old school with DP and J on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Like you went to Pius X. That's what Eden Prairie High School turned into after I left.
Yeah?
A bunch of softies, Pius X. Coach Grant took it too easy on some of these kids.
We got a worked up Jay Foreman here on.
I'm not worked up. I'm just
like
saying these dudes just need to tighten up a little bit.
All right. Well, we'll try to tighten up as we finish out here with another edition of Old School. Jay, we got a Monday night matchup of the Dolphins, who have won 7 straight games after losing 7 straight games.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome.
Yeah, and the Saints, who at any given time could have a guy off the street from Bourbon Street as their starting quarterback,
right?
And it may not matter. So, what stands out for you tonight?
This is the game, in all honesty, the Dolphins should and have to win.
If they're going to the play, both of these teams to go to the playoffs,
they're both in the
tonight.
hunt, right?
Yep.
And it's amazing that the Saints are still in the hunt because they've had
a billion injuries.
I mean, they're going to probably bring back Bobby Hebert out of the radio booth if they could. to play quarter. If you guys don't know who he was back when the Saints were decent enough under Jim Morris Sr., and he was number
What
3.
about Aaron Brooks? Do they got his number still?
Aaron Brooks was awesome because he played a game in some Air Force Ones. That just lets you know what Aaron Brooks proceeded to take his football career and flush it down the toilet. But back to this game. This is a game that the Dolphins should win because their defense is been playing pretty good.
Yeah.
They got, if not the best corner, well, he's not the best corner because Diggs, but they have the second best corner in the league in Howard. They got young, fast linebackers, a pretty good defensive line. They've actually drafted their defensive line well. So their defense has been pretty consistent. Tua's actually been better than they give him credit for. It's amazing. They picked him, number 2, and then within a year, they're like, I don't know if he's the guy.
Yeah.
You better be riding with him because he's actually showing some progress.
Yeah, I think people have been really quick to give up on Tua, but he's not what Todd McShay and those guys made him out to be. Yeah.
But he's still, look, let me tell you something. I'll take Tua over Wilson and with the Jets. I'll take Tua over Sam Darnold.
I take Tua over Justin Fields.
Right now, yeah. Not in 3 years, no.
You really buying in on Justin Fields?
Oh, yeah.
All right. I'm not
now,
there.
granted, if Ryan Pace is still there, then he's going to probably be up in Canada.
As a Vikings fan, I hope Matt Nagy has a job for life in Chicago. So
I would take Justin Fields over Kirk Cousins for sure.
The Vikings wanted to. They tried.
But then you got the Saints, right? The old wily Saints that just with Dennis Allen stepping in, defense played lights out against Brady. That defense has kind of been really, really good for the last 4 years.
That group has been together for a while.
And they're good, right? They're tough. It's a hard game to pick because Ian Book's first. You say, don't ever pick a rookie. I'm going to pick the Dolphins reluctantly because of Jake, but they're playing at home, right?
Yep.
I think it's going to be 17. I think it's going to be 20-17 Dolphins.
All right. Jay Foreman going 2017 Dolphins
What do you think?
tonight. I'm actually going with the Saints. There's something about the Saints this year. They're kind of this team of destiny. I think they're going to win this game, put themselves in a position, potentially get to the playoffs.
And beat somebody in the first round.
Right. I wouldn't want to play
I don't want to play them.
I wouldn't want to
because you know they're going to be well coached.
Yeah. Well, and they've got veterans on that team. And they don't mind. I don't think they'd mind being in the spoiler role. I don't think they envision.
Oh, no. They don't mind. And they don't mind winning a game 10-9 either.
Yeah. They won 9-0 last week. All right. Mike Shaver, Jay Foreman, Nick. This is Old School. We'll catch you tomorrow.
Guys, we need to talk about a problem plaguing our society today.